I just thought, like, when I die, I'm dead forever. And then ever.
Yeah.
And then ever. And I just kept doing that in my head. And I'm like, and then it scared the ever loving shit out of me. Cause like the concept of forever started to sink in.
Yeah.
We used to be kids. Now we're not. Something happened in between. This is the Broken Youth Club.
Tell me about your new blanket.
We went to the mall today to get some pop figs for Oliver. Oliver is on the hunt for My Hero Academia pop figs.
Came up short though.
Came up short. No luck today. But we did get this sweet little Goofy Movie blanket from Box Lunch.
That's like the actual cover, right?
Yes. And Goofy Movie is probably... Look, Ollie asked me this a lot. Like, what's my favorite kids movie? Favorite Disney movie? Whatever. Goofy Movie is probably my number one.
It's a good one.
I watched this movie so many times. The soundtrack's a banger.
Stand out.
The fucking story is so cute. And like, okay, it doesn't have it on this. They had a Christmas sweater that I also almost got from Box Lunch. And I thought it was so cute because at the bottom of the Christmas sweater, it said, "Hi, Dad," over and over again. And like the soup letters. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That movie's so good.
Always loved Pauly Shore's character.
Yeah.
The glasses.
The Leaning Tower of Cheese. Yeah.
That was a great film.
Yeah. It's very good. I love it.
Do you have a runner-up film?
Oh, for favorite like Disney movie?
Yeah.
Man, Tarzan's really up there again because that soundtrack, like Phil Collins had no reason to go that fucking hard, but my God. So I really like Tarzan, and then I really liked Hercules. Like I watched that movie so many times. That song that Meg does was like my sister and I's number one karaoke song in the car. We love that.
Yeah, I would definitely consider you in high school, like at least on the music level, you were a Disney girl.
Yeah.
Like all the soundtracks.
We got to put together like a volleyball playlist for them to play like while we were warming up before games and stuff. And all of the girls got to like contribute a couple songs to the playlist. And the two songs I picked were from the Goofy Movie.
I love it.
But listen, when those songs came on, everybody was into it. Oh, come on, dude. They're bangers.
Yeah, it is.
I get so excited about them.
I was more in like the Disney Channel than I was like the Disney. Like,
okay, Rich.
Film. Okay, hey, no, easy. Yeah, so I was into like the Disney Channel original movies, more than I was the animated stuff. I don't know why. I guess.
Is there a kids movie that you remember really loving, and then you watched it again as an adult, and you got really sad because it wasn't nearly as good as you thought? It was
because
gonna
it
be?
Wasn't as good.
Yeah.
No, I think that with most kids movies I go back and watch because you see it through just a different lens. So there's always this aspect of like, that was weird, or I'm surprised I didn't catch onto that earlier. Little innuendos or whatever. But I'll have to think on that actually to have a better answer. But I'm excited. Actually, I just thought I want to watch that Under Wraps. That's like a good classic Halloween movie.
Do you know what movie I'm going to talk about?
No.
But I'm going to say I really loved as a little kid. And then we watched it together and we were like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah. The Buttercream Gang.
The Buttercream Gang. I used to think that movie was so good because it was like these just like, I thought that the boys were cute. Like at the time I was a child and I thought that those children were cute. And then it was like one of them was like a nice boy and he like helped the neighbors and was like a very good boy. And then the other boy was like a bad boy because he got like sent away for the summer or something. He was like not. Right. And then we watched it and I'm like, oh, this feels like a little racist. Like it's giving a little like not good, not good in that way.
And the writing was just terrible.
The writing was super bad. It was very much like, it wasn't that he was a good boy. He was a good Christian boy. And it was a very like, it was just, it hit in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And we never watched it again, but I couldn't even like rent it. We had to buy it. And I was so excited for when it got to me. And then I was like, oh no.
I will say, not on the level of like not being good or not, because I think anything nostalgic for me still just hits in a certain way. But I don't think we've talked about this before, but I don't think you've ever really seen it. But this show called McGee and Me, it was like, oh my gosh, it is like just tucked so far back in the recesses of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I didn't hit me until I was an adult and I looked back on it later. I had no recollection that it was like a Christian publishing, like an independent thing. I thought it was just a show. But my stepmom would put it on and it was this little like white or blonde pompadour character that this kid drew in his notebook that would come alive. And he would like teach him lessons, but they were like biblical lessons. And I just didn't remember them being that way.
Yeah.
And so it was totally a shock. Like I thought it was a completely different show.
Yeah.
Like I remember like the episodes, but then the through lesson and the through lines and like even the dialogue of shit they were saying is like, oh, this is like clearly heavily like written as a publishing thing to then distribute to churches and
Yeah. You know, it's funny, while you were talking about that, I was thinking about like, I very, very much watched Seventh Heaven and did like that show.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that it was a family that had a lot of kids. And like, I grew up in a house that, like we didn't go to church, but I think my parents would call themselves Christians, but we didn't talk about it a lot. And so I thought this was a show I was like supposed to be watching too. So I watched it a lot. And now like I've seen things where people are like, some of these old episodes are a little wild, like they wouldn't pass the vibe check now. On just being like a little more like judgmental than they should have been.
Okay.
Things like that. But then also the dad, naughty, the dad actor.
I don't.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Maybe I do, but I don't. It's not.
He's in some he's like
recent trouble?
I think within the last like 5 years.
Oh.
Like I think like not good stuff with like underage people.
No.
I think.
Interesting. We'll look that up before we put that out.
Yeah, we might just like cut that part out. But yeah. But no, I really liked that show. I could literally still sing the theme song of that show. Like I watched it a lot.
Yeah.
And it was one of those times where like every once in a while they would have like back-to-back episodes. But the second one was like past my bedtime and I would have to like ask my mom to let me stay up for it. But then I would go to bed and my parents would immediately watch X-Files. That was like whatever show was on next or whatever. And I remember there being like a solid year span where I would be laying in bed and that show would start and be like, da, 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 da. And I would literally be so freaked out by that. I would just say, like, I would just lay in bed and cry. Oh, I was so upset. And it finally got to a place where my parents would mute it until the theme song was over because it just would like set me up for nightmares. I hated it.
Do you remember your first, like, was that your first real experience with like a show giving you nightmares or a movie or anything?
No. No. I have a cousin that is like, probably 10 or 12 years older than me. And I remember being at my grandparents' house in Indianapolis, and I had to have been 6, maybe. But this cousin of mine has always been like very, very, very into horror movies.
Yeah.
And he put on, I think it was one of the Chucky movies.
Oh.
And I was too little. Okay.
Yeah.
But like we watched that, and then my grandparents lived in kind of a creepy house at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like miserable. From that point on, I was like afraid of everything. It felt like. Yeah. So.
My first one was, I can't remember exactly how old I was, but if I had to guess, it's probably like 7 or 8. And there were these 2 boys up the road, like, I don't know, a mile and a half. and my brother and I, for the first time we ever stayed at their place, and it was like back off this gravel road. It was a single wide trailer, kind of tucked back in the woods. It was kind of remote. There was no one really nearby, and their mom was like working or something. It was just us, which is, looking back, like, that's kind of weird because I guess Jeff would have been like, what, 12, maybe 13.
Yeah.
And so we played like cards and stuff, but then like late after it got dark, they had put on Halloween H2O.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like trying, because I was the little kid in the room. It was because the two brothers, one was my brother's age and the other one was like a year younger or something like that. So I was clearly like the baby hanging out with the big kids. So I was really trying to muster the courage to like, nah, I got this.
Yeah.
And there was the scene, I think pretty early on in the movie, where
With the ice skate.
with the ice skate in the face, where they turn him around in the chair.
Wasn't that like Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
I think so.
Yeah.
Man, that
was a gnarly one.
The term haunting, like, I can't tell you, it stuck with me for years.
Yeah.
Just that, like, I had never seen explicit horror like that. I don't think until that point. Like, that was my first, like, whoa. Like, I could, like, my brain had to process, that's not real. But, like, no one was there to tell me that's not real. Because my brother wouldn't do that. Like,
he would be like, no, it's legit.
Yeah. So that was jarring for sure. And that one absolutely stuck with me.
Do you think that that's probably the most watched movie in that franchise? Because I feel like
H2O?
I have always heard everyone talk about H2O. That's the one with Josh Hartnett in it, right? Dude, I think that's the best one. I'll go out on I think that is the best one they've put out.
I mean, Halloween 1 obviously is like, it's one of the most iconic films ever. So I don't know as far as most watched.
I have watched H2O more than any of the others by far.
I don't know. That's a good question. Any other horror fans, let us know which one's better, H2O or the first. Well, I guess we're not asking what's better. We could Google most watched.
I very much had a thing for Josh Hartnett there for a while, so that could have played into it for me.
Probably.
But
tell you what, Jamie Lee Curtis though,
in that one,
in all of them, I mean, she's aging so gracefully.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if she's great.
She seems great.
I think maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
From what I read. Yeah.
I'm afraid to say that I like anybody because it feels like as soon as I do, they do something terrible, and I'm like, fuck.
No, I mean, if I'm up on everything, I'm pretty sure
feels like she's a pretty solid advocate for women and like advocate for like people that need advocating for.
Yeah, exactly.
So fingers crossed, Jamie. Come on.
And she's one of the original Scream queens.
You look at her.
Hard to beat.
Hard to beat.
All right. Well, we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a few heavy things, I guess, and something I've been wanting to talk about your feelings, and I'm trying to wrap it into this show a little bit because that's the point of the show.
Yeah.
And
it feels like all my traumatizing shit is happening to me as an adult, which is fucking so rude.
Yeah. And you just kind of been going through it lately, and I think you wanted to maybe just speak on that a little bit. So
so I touched on it a little bit in the little like bonus mini-sode thing that you did last week for the Patreon. But so I have been on Wellbutrin for a little over 2 months now, I think, or right around that. And it felt like everything was going really well, which was great. And then there has been like typically like a day the week before I start my period where that's like the worst day ever. Every month, the worst day ever. And when I started the medicine, that like I noticed it was a little better that first month, but still like pretty terrible, where you just wake up and you just feel like everything's terrible. You're terrible. Your life is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's like I cannot talk myself out of it. Instead, I just like obsess over some terrible thing over and over and over again in my brain.
Do you find that you like spiral into other things, or you obsess like over this, like you said, the same thing, and you cycle through the process of like it's a problem, and then you're like, no, it'll be all right, and then you get back to it being a problem.
Oh, I never get to the point of no, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
No, all day it's like, nope, this is going to be awful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand
like
how
holding
people
your
are,
finger on a button.
and it's like, it's awful for us. It feels like it's terrible for everybody. It's never going to get better. Like, shit's just going to be hard for the rest of my fucking miserable life, and I'm going to be miserable, and it's going to be terrible, and I should have never brought kids into this terrible, terrible existence. I mean, it's just bad.
Yeah.
You know, one day a month, it's awful. And this last time around, which was basically all last week, I had the day, you know, the week before where I was like, this today sucks. And then I woke up the next day and it still sucked. And then I woke up the next day, started my period, and then it continued to suck for 6 days after that. So I had like 9 or 10 days of just feeling really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, I literally said to you at one point, I feel like I'm not on medicine at all.
Mm-hmm.
And not only am I not on medicine at all, it's like I've never been on it. And I'm like just back to really fucking sad.
Yeah.
And I cannot pull myself out of this place of like really sad and really anxious and feeling like nothing is working and it's just going to be really hard and awful for a long time. And then like it brought me back to this place of after I had Arlo, our second, who is 4 now. After I had Arlo, I went through a pretty rough patch of postpartum anxiety. And I did not have any of that with Ollie. I think I had like the smallest touch of postpartum depression with Oliver for a very small period right after I had him, where it was like, I remember having my friend come over at one point and Ollie was a little baby. I mean, like less than a month old. Mm-hmm. And it was the first moment of her like coming over and meeting them. And it was like, I think I had Ollie in the bath or something. And I was talking to her and I was like, I love this little baby so much, but like, I think if something would happen, I would like be okay. But I remember saying that and then immediately crying because I'm like, but I shouldn't feel that. Like, I shouldn't feel like my life would be okay to not have him, like this baby too. Like, that's a strange thing to feel right after you have them, because you also have these like very, very pure, like this thing came out of me. I can't believe that. Like, so that was hard, but that was like a very small, fleeting, you know, within 6 weeks it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like obsessed with Ollie and with being a mom and all of that. But with Arlo, I got postpartum anxiety really bad, and I had never felt anxious in my life. So that was really hard to even understand like what I was feeling. But it got to this place of like, I didn't want to drive. Like, I didn't want to ride in a car. Like, I needed to drive. I typically didn't want Arlo to be with us if we were in the car because I was afraid something was going to happen. I stopped enjoying flying, and I used to like love to travel. And I stopped feeling that, and just started, and then like the intrusive thoughts started happening, which I had never had, literally ever. But I would have these really, really vivid intrusive thoughts where it was like, I remember for a while, I was literally like afraid to go on walks with Arlo and ultimately with Simon too for a while when they were really little, because I had this thought that like some strange dude was going to walk by us and grab the baby out of my hands and slam them into the ground, like into the concrete.
Yeah.
But it would play in my brain like it was happening right in front of me. So I was like seeing that, and that felt really traumatizing. Like, what the fuck? Like why can I imagine what that looks like and what I would feel and what you would feel and what we would do? Like, it's like it would just literally play out in this like very vivid, scary way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't grab Kleenexes. What a mistake. And then, so then it got to this place where I just like didn't want to leave the house ever, because I was so afraid of that. But then I also am typically a very social person and I like being around people. And so then I just started to feel really lonely and really isolated and like sad in that way. And so it felt like this kind of like, you're just kind of trapped, right? Because you want to keep your baby safe and you want to do what you need to do to like make sure that they can get out of that really scary newborn phase where it's like.
Sorry, we had to take a quick little break. We thought we heard something unsettling. Turns out it was just fireworks.
Yeah, but also like it's literally raining right now and it's October 14th. Why are we setting fireworks off right now?
Yeah, it's pretty late.
It's weird.
And we're in a residential area. So.
Yeah, a little unsettling. Okay.
And there's another one.
Oh,
So
kill
I'll
them.
try to get them out of the mix. But
Yeah.
they're pretty loud.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So when babies are really, really little and fragile, it's like you worry about all the things, whether it's like people accidentally hurting them, if you have other kids in the house, them getting hurt from that. I worried about SIDS for a really, really long time. And so it just felt like that anxiety I experienced with Arlo, I kept waiting for it to go away in the same way that the depression went away with Oliver. And it just like never did. And then we got pregnant with Simon pretty quickly. I think Arlo was like, we had Simon a month before Arlo's second birthday. So then I also had all of these feelings of like, oh, I fucked up having another baby so close. I'm like stealing time from Arlo that he should have like had. He still needed me. We were still nursing. Like, it just felt like it really ramped up these feelings for me of like, I'm fucking everything up. Like, and I felt like, before I could like talk myself out of that, you know, I could be like, no, like plenty of people have kids close to each other. That's not a big deal. When have you ever heard a story of somebody picking someone up out of a stroller and slamming it like that? Like these things that I was so worried about, I used to be able to like have a weird thought or whatever, and then get myself out of it. And with the anxiety like that I would have with Arlo, I couldn't. It was like I was trying so hard to get my head into a different place, and it was like no matter what, there was just this underlying like something's gonna happen, or I'm like afraid something's gonna happen.
Paranoia of some kind.
Yeah, it was awful. And I was super nervous to have Simon because I thought like, I don't know how this could get worse. Like the way I'm feeling already, I don't know how it could get worse. And I was really afraid that like going into a pregnancy, still dealing with this shit, like it was just going to get worse. And thankfully it didn't, but it also just like didn't go away. And then we were like living in a new place and I didn't have any family close by, or like my sister used to be like really involved with the kids. Like she lived 4 hours away, but it was like whenever Ollie was little, I mean, they were like buddies. Like she would come up and see Ollie all the time, or like I would take Ollie down to Nashville for the weekend or whatever. And I mean, we rarely went more than 6 weeks without seeing her. Like she was really around. And so when we moved out here and we put 2,000 miles between us and everyone that we knew, it was like, well, I know that's not realistic for everybody to be able to come out here that often. And we couldn't, like, we have to buy all these plane tickets now. Like we can't afford it all the time. And so I think it was just this, like I was feeling really like anxious. So I wasn't going anywhere, but then I was isolated, but then I was even more isolated because we didn't have family that could come over. I didn't have friends that could come over. And I think that that's why this this friendship that I had with our nanny, I think that that's why that hurt me so bad too, because she was like all I had out here. You know, somebody that I felt like really loved me, really loved the kids, was really involved. And she was somebody that like saved me from that like really isolated feeling. And yeah, so all of that rolled into this last 9 to 10 days of being on my period. It was like all of that came just like rushing back at me. Whereas before that, I felt like, man, like these meds are really working. Like this is great, you know? So I don't know. I don't know if it's like, I don't understand why sometimes it feels like my hormones are like hitting me so different. I know that it's like when you're on your period, of course they're going to hit you differently, or they're all fucking jumbled up or whatever. I don't know. I don't actually know what's going on in my body all the time, but it just feels like this last one was really, really hard. So reached out to my doctor about it, and she like upped the meds, and we'll see if that helps. But I'm also like taking a lot of those now, and I feel like there's this part of me, and I don't know if it's my anxious brain or if it's my person that is nervous about putting a lot of meds in my body anyway. But I just am like, is that even okay? But I like went from not taking anything at all to literally taking like the max amount that they will give a person within a matter of 10 weeks. Like, is that okay? Am I like gonna get totally fucked up? And like, I think I'm like 3 or 4 days of like that higher dose. And like, I felt pretty good this morning.
I would just say not to.
But like, I just feel like I've just got, it's still one of those things where it's like, I cannot shake when I get in this place of feeling like really upset or really hurt or whatever. It's like, I can't shake it. Even when we try to go do things, we took the kids to the mall, tried to like get out because I was just like sad over finding out another friend had like fucked me over. And I'm just like, dude, like when is this shit gonna end? Like when am I gonna stop feeling so sad all the time, or like feeling like it's just never gonna get easier for anyone? It's so hard for everyone right now. And then like all the shit that's happening overseas, I'm like, bro, like what the fuck are we doing? Like, it feels like people are just so awful to other people, and I don't know how to like wrap my head around that. And I don't want to feel like this all the time, but it feels like every time that things start to feel a little better, I start to whatever, it's like another person that I've put my trust in totally like backstabs me or like throws me away so that they can like gain something, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just like feeling it. And it just makes me so skeptical of like everyone. And that has never been a person that I've always been somebody that's like, no, I'm sure there's something about everyone that I could like. And now it's like, when I consistently have people that are doing this shit to me, like I am the common denominator with all of it. So like, is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Like, because I feel like I'm a human, and I'm sure that I fuck up or whatever, but like at the end of the day, I think that more than anything, it's always super clear that I like fucking care about people, you know, like, and I want to be helpful, and I want to like, I want people to like feel good when they're around me. And I feel like I can't even give that to people right now because I'm just fucking sad all the time. And who wants to talk to somebody that's fucking sad all the time? Like, I feel so bad when I I tried to call my friend today, the only one I have left.
You've
And
got some friends.
and she answered the phone and she was like a cheery, hey. And I'm like, fuck, like I don't even want to talk to her about how I'm feeling because I feel like I'm just gonna bum her out. Like I'm just like a bummer person and I don't want to feel like that. And I feel like a lot of the times you get just like this fucking bummer version of me. Like I used to be fucking fun. I used to be a really fun person. I feel like I've just been really fucking sad all the time and I don't know how to shake it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should have brought tissues. This is fucking gross.
Where's your new blanket?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, we obviously have these talks somewhat regularly, and I hope you know that I'm here to listen and just help you through it. But I often feel lost because A, I'm not a professional in this shit, but B, it's like when I don't know what to say, and I know you feel like the same when I have things that I'm bringing to you. Is I want to comfort you in these times and be helpful. And I think that's still one area that I struggle with a lot is I said it earlier today when I was upstairs and you were clearly upset still about something, not towards me. Have to say that. I am not in the doghouse. But I literally, I just physically didn't know what to do. I saw myself pacing and I was like, I didn't even know what to do with my hands. It's like, I wanted to hug you, but then I was like, well, I just did. So do I hug you again? And it's like,
yeah.
So no, it's not, I don't, the versions of you that I get, you know me, I like collecting. I'll collect all the versions.
Yeah.
So I'll love every version. And it's not that I'm it's always coming from a place of I wish I could help more or be useful in this situation. But sometimes I know being useful means getting the fuck out of the room and just letting you be to yourself. But I think just, communication and just allowing these talks to happen.
Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know. One of the things that I was super unwell with last week was I kept having these feelings something's gonna happen to me, and well, I know exactly. I had this this blood blister. I had something feel like that pop up in my mouth, and I'm sure I just fucking ate too many salty things or something. I don't know. But I felt it and I'm like, oh, it's probably mouth cancer. Yeah. And I don't do anything that would give me mouth cancer. So I probably have cancer somewhere else and it just has traveled to my mouth, which means it's probably pretty bad, which means probably I'm going to die, which means my kids aren't going to have their mom and Logan's not going to have me and they live all the way over here. But at least they'd have at least they'd get my life insurance policy. That would pay off the house. I'm in this place of just
catastrophizing.
Yeah. And then today we had some shit go on and it just felt like a lot of the things that I look at that have happened to us along the way. It's a lot of that stuff I can tie back to shit that I've done. Actions that I've done or reactions that I've had or whatever. And it just feels like you are this person that has achieved so many things and you're so good at so many things and you are just such an impressive person. And I feel like I
I'm just like constantly disappointing. Like, I'm not good at like getting things done in a timely manner. Like, I will get to them when I get to them, but like a lot of times I don't get to them as quickly as I probably should. Or like our kids don't have great routines, and that's because sometimes I just like, I feel like especially the last year I've just been like sad. So I'm like, we're just surviving. But now that they don't have routines, like they kind of rule the roost on what we're doing every day, and like that's disappointing because that's not your fault. That's me. I'm the one that's like parenting during the day. Or like, it just feels like there's all these things that we can immediately put like Logan Keith has achieved all these things, so many things. And there's so many things about Logan to be like really proud of and really impressed by. And then there's me, and I feel like I am like aggressively mediocre at everything. And if I'm not mediocre at it, I'm just flat not good at it. Like, there's nothing about me that is like,
I don't think that's true at all.
Impressive at all. Or like,
I don't think that's true at all. One of the things that attracted me to you in the first place was that, listen, I was told growing up I was smart. We've already discussed this. I have had it in my ear, so there was something in my head is like, oh, you're the smart kid in class. But what attracted me to you is like, well, she's smarter than I am. And I've always thought that. I think you correct me on so many things. Like when we do have deep talks, you'll right my ship more than I right yours. And because I think your insights can be very, they come from a place of wisdom. And so I envy that about you a lot. It's
well,
just
I disagree that I'm smarter than you, but even if I was, like,
okay.
I haven't done anything with that.
You have birthed 3 beautiful, healthy kids who are also fucking super smart, all 3 of them already. I said earlier today that if it weren't for you and how you handled everything that, happened to basically when I came out to you to tell you about, my past trauma, all that stuff. And then you helped me through my mental health crisis, I would say, a handful of years ago. If it weren't for you and your ability to be so caring and nurturing through that, I don't know if I would be here still, it would be a totally different, less version of me. So to me, that's a huge accomplishment. And if I were to have done that for someone else, I would feel very proud of myself that I was able to be. That to me is the ultimate human thing I think you can do, is to nurture someone through a dark time. And you did that. You still do that. Now I'm, learning to help do that for you. And I don't know where I'm going with that thought, but I hate that. I hate that for you, because everybody wants to have a purpose or an accomplishment list or whatever, but you say I have all these accomplishments, but in reality, the way I look at them is like, no, they're ours, because it is a team effort. If we switched and you went off to be a big fancy lawyer or something, whatever, or a criminologist, one of the jobs that you were hoping to land, you did that, and I played Mr. Mom. I don't know why I said that weird because of the song. And I tried to think about singing it, but then I decided not to, and then it just came out weird, and now I have to address why it came out weird. Only Monday, Mr. Mom.
There it is.
There it is. I had to get it out so I could sneeze. So if I played Mr. Mom and you were, I wouldn't look at that as like, oh, big fancy Lori Kate and all her fucking accomplishments, and here I am just like fucking dad. I obviously I can't say that because I'm not in that position, and but I would hope that I would look at like, no, this is the collective effort, like everybody on the baseball team hits in a different position because they all have their skill. Some dude has his skill batting cleanup, just as another dude has a better skill getting on base, so he'll bat leadoff. Everybody brings something to the table for the championship. We're a 2-person team in that way, and so that whole saying, like, behind every great man is an even greater woman. Like, I feel that because I do believe that, like, the things that I'm able to do, or the person that people see, it's largely because I have you to help me build that in private and do that. And so as far as like having your own things, I do understand how that would be frustrating, of like, no, but I want something that I can put a Kate stamp on it and say, like, nobody else has touched this. I get that because I need that with certain things. And so I want to try to, along the way, figure out what those are. And that's why I'm trying to push, hobbies and things, just so you can find something that does bring you the joy that you can lose time to. That was a trick that I can't remember where I heard that, but it was always like, do something that you will lose time to. And I'm trying to help you find that, so that, like, but also, like, our kids are, we just talked about this, the kids very soon will be all at the age where they're a little bit more independent or in school, giving you the freedom to have, like, kind of a new chapter, and I know you really liked your time with the I don't say, it's not weightlifting, god damn it, with the working out at the gym, the fitness
training.
the training. I saw that really lit a spark in you on some level, so I do hope that, I know her situation has changed since you've been able to do that, but I do hope that you can pick that back up on some level, because we got some stuff for you to do it.
Yeah, I know. We like finally got the stuff that I like really, really wanted, and then I got into a big depression hole and I couldn't even drag myself out there to use it.
That's all right. You know what though, man? It's like, it's chapters, and I don't know. I don't want to give advice like I'm some sage, like, wizard or something, but I don't know, man. I do feel like, yeah, it's like it's a chapters thing, and you have to give yourself the grace of, like, it's not going to last forever. At least you'll have good days. You'll have good days because you've had good days. And I think it's about looking forward to those and trying to maximize those as you go. And, you are taking the steps. You're getting on medicine, and I mean, I'm going to be here to support. You feeling
I'm just no, you were talking about like me with like hobbies or finding things to do, and it's like my immediate thought was, yeah, but I don't want to do stuff by myself because that's lonely, but I can't even find a good fucking person to be my stupid friend. So I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to find a hobby because I don't want to make a friend for them to just like fucking disappoint me again. Like, I just don't even want to. It's like,
do you think it's completely necessary? And this may be a yes. Do you think it's completely necessary to find stuff to do that you have to have another friend to do with?
A lot of the things I like to do make me really anxious to do them alone. Like, I really like hiking, very specifically. I like difficult hikes that have like nice visual payoffs, but I don't
want to take a couple hours long hike by myself because I've watched too many stupid scary movies or too much true crime, and I don't want somebody to hurt me, and I don't want like a fucking. We live in a place where there are bears. Like I don't want a bear to attack me,
Okay,
but I
all
also
right.
don't want to carry
What
a gun
about-
because
what
I
about
don't want
another,
to kill
like-
somebody.
I mean, you again. We can. What about the gym? You have that is secluded, away from bears. And then you were starting on this art piece back in here, which is coming along nicely. I like
Yeah,
it,
those
and
are-
that is also secluded from bears.
No, but those things I'm doing by myself.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I don't want.
can
But
you
that's the thing. Like I don't like.
you need the company. You
I
think.
would like the fucking company because I feel like I've spent so much time
Yeah.
alone. Like, I know I have the kids, but any other
Yeah.
moms out there that are with their kids all the time, it's still lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because there's fucking noise here doesn't mean like.
Well, you got the dogs too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, ooh, yuck.
Yeah.
But you were talking the other day about death specifically whenever I was talking about being obsessed with the idea that I was going to die and that the kids were not going to have a mother,
Yeah.
or that you were going to find somebody else and then they would have a mother, and that would make me happy but also sad. And I just listen.
Yeah.
The intrusive thoughts that came with the idea of me being dead and you dating somebody and marrying somebody was really unkind.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why my brain that lives in my body would be so fucking unkind to me to put those pictures in my head.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if I die, I need everybody to know I would love for Logan to have somebody else. I don't want Logan to live alone. I don't want you to not have a person. But also, I don't want to fucking think about you with another person.
Yeah,
So,
I don't either. So.
Anyway, fuck. You were talking about death also, but I don't remember what you were saying about it. But I remember that being a discussion we were
Oh, yeah.
having.
I mean, it was just the general concept because you were bringing up, that it was on your brain.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's on my brain a lot too. So, I mean, do you have what was your first experience? Let's just back up. What was your first experience with death, just like in general, that you remember like it hitting home with you?
Yeah. My grandma, my dad's mom, was actually her house that I was talking about earlier. We're watching the scary movie at. Her house was really scary and old. But her and my grandpa moved to my hometown when I was maybe 8. So that they could be closer to us and they could help my parents with us. We would go to their house before and after school. And we spent a lot of time over there. And my grandma, she was ew. She was just a really bright person.
Mhm.
She was just, you walk in the room and it's just she was so joyful, and she made it such a joyful space. That's what I remember the most about her was just this, she was just fun. And she just felt like somebody that really fit into that grandma vibe, that grandma picture.
Yeah.
Very much like what is the Weasley's mom's name? Molly. Very much a Molly Weasley. If you imagine what Molly Weasley would be like as grandparent, that was my grandma Bates.
Yeah. Which actually is so funny because for a long time, Molly reminded me of your mom.
Yes.
That similar
Yeah.
vibe. Yeah, go ahead.
And I feel like it was pretty soon after they had moved, or maybe even before that. I guess it would have been before that. My grandma had breast cancer, I think, is maybe where it started.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to fuck it up because I was a little kid and I don't ask a lot of questions now because I know it still makes everybody really sad to talk about it. But somewhere along the way, this cancer just got really bad. It just was everywhere. And I remember being at her house a lot towards the end, and it had moved to her esophagus or something, and she was throwing up all the time. And she was she was a bigger person when
she was healthy, and then like towards the end she had just like lost a bunch of weight, and she was just like really frail, but still like you could still tell she was trying to be like that like really happy person when you were around.
Yeah.
And my 10th birthday, I had a birthday party and she didn't come because she was sick. And I remember being really mad at her because it was like my 10th birthday. That was a big deal. It's been double digits. Like, and I remember going to their house like after, and she had like made my like favorite meal, and she had like tried to be there to support and celebrate me, even though she couldn't come to the party. And if I remember right, I remember not being super like nice, you know, like feeling really mad.
You were mad, yeah.
That she hadn't come to the party. So it's like, cool, great, thanks for making my dinner, but like I wanted you to come to the party. And then like within a couple weeks of that, I think, she died. And I remember going to her house and them telling me that she died, and me having very much like that 10-year-old reaction of like, can I go play with my friends? Like, I didn't have like an immediate, I'm crying, I'm upset. I remember everybody else crying and being upset. My sister was like so wrecked. She was like, my grandma was like her best friend. And I had the reaction of like, I need to get the fuck out of here, you know? And so I went and like tried to play with my friends in the neighborhood, but they also like knew my grandma had died. And so they were like asking me about it, and I just didn't want to talk about it. But then later felt really like guilty because I didn't want people to think I didn't care. I just like didn't know how to process that.
Yeah.
Like that idea that I like was never going to see her again.
Yeah.
And she was so sick at the end. Ew. That like it got to a point where I like almost didn't even want to see her anymore, you know, because she wasn't the grandma that I like remembered. I can remember going and seeing her at the hospital at one point, like right before she died, and it was like, I literally don't even know who this person is. Like, and then when we went to the funeral, that was like the first time that I can like really remember being at a funeral and like seeing what somebody looks like in a casket, which wasn't good. I remember thinking like, that doesn't even look like her.
Mm-hmm.
And then like my mom is like a very touchy person. And so my mom's like, she walks up and she's like, you know, holding my grandma's hand. And so then I like reach in there because I think that's what I'm supposed to do. And that fucking like, that freaked me out big time. I like did not expect her to not like feel warm. So then it was like, I was so freaked at that point that I feel like I just totally like disassociated from where I was. Like,
yeah.
Like I would just like, oh my God, I don't know what this is. But then I remember like after that, feeling really guilty for a while that I didn't talk at her funeral. I remember my sister, bless her sweet little heart, she became really obsessed with this idea that like to get to heaven you have to do all of these things. But when she was like reading about all these things, because in her mind it's like, well, I got to get to heaven so I can like be
It's like a checklist to get there
with grandma again, so I can see her again. But this checklist feels like impossible for anybody to check off. So like I'm never going to be good enough to hit all of these things. What am I? And I remember that being really hard. I remember like eavesdropping on conversations that her and my dad would have about it.
Yeah.
Where she just was like, I'm never going to be good enough to do this. And it just felt like, I don't know, it just kind of kickstarted this like whole thing with me where I started to have a lot of like issues with religion in that way, because I looked at my sister, even though a lot of times I was mean to her and like I was that like totally bratty, annoying little sister, like I looked at her like she was legitimately as close to perfect as you could get. Like, she was super nice, very like well liked at school, had lots of friends, was super pretty, got good grades, was like most of the time nice to me, even though I was not nice to her. She's like super thoughtful, very genuine. And it was like, if she doesn't think she's good enough, what fucking chance do I have? Because I'm not nice like that. You know, I definitely wasn't then. So yeah, I think that was like my first real, and I think that that's part of why like I got so attached to the cat, Jasmine the cat, because my parents got that cat, I think like the winter after. So my grandma died at the end of October-ish, maybe middle to end of October. And then we got the cat like sometime in the winter, and was very attached to that cat. And I don't know if it had anything to do with that or not. I'm typically not a cat person. But yeah, so then when the cat died, not long after that, I don't even think we had that cat for a couple years before it got sick and died. Yeah. Then I had just had it, you know? I was like, okay, fine.
It's enough.
God.
I think for me, it was, I was 7. I think it was 7. And my grandpa was in the hospital. He wasn't doing well. And so we went to visit him, and we did that. And then we were coming back to town, and my dad we'd passed like a bunch of, paramedics, and I think there was even a fire truck out there. And we passed a wreck on the side of the road, and Dad like slowed down pretty hard. And then I remember him like in a panic, like looking to my stepmom and saying like, I think that was Mom's car. And so we turned around and pulled in this drive, and sure enough, it was my grandma's car, and it had my grandma, my Aunt Kim, and my 2 cousins in the back seat. And apparently they had gotten smoked by a drunk driver, and they had flipped over into a ditch, and the impact into the ditch really hurt my Aunt Kim, and she got rushed to the hospital. So we rushed right back to the hospital. So 2 trips, 1 night. And she died at the hospital from internal bleeding, I believe is what it was. And so I remember that night just being it was like a traumatic thing, because I didn't, you never expect something like that. You're just going about your day. Even when I went to see my grandpa, it was like a normal visit, I'm pretty sure. And then, so you go to bed, and I don't think I was told like anything more that night. I think I went home and went to bed. So you're just like, what's going on,
Yeah.
And I think then it was the next day that we were told she didn't make it. And so I remember going to the funeral and not quite feeling sad at first, because I'm like 99% positive it was a closed casket, because I don't have any memory of seeing her. And if it wasn't, it's because I didn't look, because I probably wasn't that tall. But I do remember right after that, not long, then my grandpa did die, but that was open casket. And I remember the same thing, like feeling his hand and being like, I don't like this at all.
Instant
What
regret.
the fuck is this? No one told me this.
Mm-mm.
And I remember riding in the back of my mom's car, I don't know, weeks, a couple months later, I mean, somewhere around that time, that I was, it was late at night. I was probably coming back from a practice or something, and I was it was her maroon Chevy Lumina. I was laying in the back seat of the car, looking up through the window, just like with my my Discman on, playing some. Oh, I know exactly what it was. It was 3 Doors Down. God damn, I'll try to remember the song. It's one of their like acoustic like songs, and it started to make me cry because I started to think about where did they go, essentially, you know, because I'd gone to church and whatnot, but like I also, man, I don't know. I think even from a very young age, I was like, I don't know if I buy this. Like, even when I was quote unquote buying it, I don't think I fully bought it. So there were these questions of truly, where are these people that I loved? And then I had this thought of like, nowhere, they're dead. And then I like zoomed out of Earth, and I was just like this, you know, star child just floating in space. And I just thought, like, when I die, I'm dead forever, and then ever, and then ever. And I just kept doing that in my head, and I'm like, and then it scared the ever loving shit out of me, because like the concept of forever started to sink in. Sometimes I still get myself in that loop, you know, of like, I don't know, man, when I'm gone, I'm gone. I know we talk about it all the time, and I'll get into a couple of my favorite theories just for fun to lighten up the mood a little bit, but I'm curious to hear where you currently stand on what you truly, because you normally just listen to me ramble this shit. I never really get to hear you.
I mean, I think that there's something about us that makes us more than just our brain and our bodies and all of that. I think that there is this energy or soul or whatever. And I think I like to think when my body doesn't work anymore that I get to like up out of there, you know? And I think it would be really cool if I got to pick where I go next, what else I decide to land on.
Okay.
Because I think that, you know, I think babies can have, you know, certain babies. I mean, Arlo was really like colicky, but I think that there is a clear point where your baby starts to like really have an actual personality. Like you start to kind of notice little like things that make them laugh versus things that don't. And it's not like a physical tickle. It's like a thing you're doing or, you know, like, so I don't know if that's like when you get to like hop on in, if you're going to be another human and have another go at that because you really liked that, or if you get to go into an animal's body, you know, like, or fuck, dude, even, I don't know, maybe even like the trees, you know, it's like, sometimes you walk into a forest and it could just be that it's a nice day and you're in a good mental space or whatever. But I do think that there are these spaces you can walk into sometimes, and it does just feel like this very calming thing.
Yeah.
And I like to imagine that maybe that's a lot of just like calm, like spirits that have chosen to stay there in this way of like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, what if I could live in a hammock for the rest of my fucking life? Maybe that would be lovely, you know, like, so I don't know. I like to just kind of imagine that like our energy, or our soul or our spirit or whatever, gets to leave this body and then decide where it wants to go next.
I like that. So you have some choice.
Yeah.
Do you think there is then a period where you're choosing, like a purgatory almost?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't look at that as like
a negative.
A negative. Yeah. I look at that like you're weighing your options.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to figure out where you want to go, because I imagine once you make the choice, then you have to wait for that body or that vessel to die. You know, you can't just like, I can't just fucking like opt out at this point, you know. I mean, I guess I could, but I won't. But like, you know,
please. I truly believe when I'm gone, it is lights out, show's over, drive safe. I'm done. Nothing. Black. That's what I truly believe at this point. I have a whole lot of fantastical ideas of what I wish it were, but my logic brain just can't wrap my bring my heart to convince myself that it's actually possible. But one of my favorites is the idea that this is some sort of, advanced simulation, not the reality that we actually have come to like understand, but it is there, is some other creator dimension, but the creator isn't like a god necessarily. It's more of like a programmer.
Okay.
And so this is all just ones and zeros. This is all just an advanced program. And like, because I can't see my face, I can only see it in mirrors. So it's just like a first person shooter game, right?
Yeah.
So my one of my thoughts is when we die, this is the avatar I chose for whatever reason. Who knows what I'm destined for? I don't know. But this is the one I chose for this game. And then when this life is over, I back out to like some sort of like main menu, and I get to choose between, let's go to this, universe now, and I want to play as this character.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, because that's like ultimate choice. And it makes sense of like, that's how we design worlds, is why wouldn't. And also, like, to me, the idea, if that is true, or plausible, I should say, I don't necessarily believe in a one God. If I were to believe in any deity or higher power or creator, whatever, one, I don't think there's one. I think it would be countless. And two, I don't think they would be like, in their world, they would be just like people doing jobs. You know what I mean? Like, they're just all like Ted the God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Ted has his own like world projects. And another concept I thought about, like, just the idea of, let's say we were created by a creator. And this is me just like having fun. I'm not poking at anybody's beliefs or anything. This is just me, just like, what if? I think if we were created by some sort of, force greater than we could know, and it was, I'm just going to make this. I don't think they still know we exist. I think we were long forgotten as a creation before. And an analogy I will use is, I create drawings and sketches all the time. An idea, I'll write it down on a piece of paper, and I'll crumple it up, throw it in the trash, right? Or little art projects that Ollie's made here and there, and then he'll put them in a windowsill, and then they get put in a box, and we forget about it. Like, why would that be any different for a creator of a larger level? Why would they know about all their creations they've ever made?
Yeah.
So my thought is like, yeah, okay, if we were made by a higher power, maybe we're just sitting in the trash bin and we're just like waiting to be recycled.
Fucking
You
feels
know
like
what I
that,
mean?
huh?
Yeah. So
Feels like it.
and then another theory I really like is the egg theory, which is basically the universe was created for you, and you are everything. So like time, the existence of time is like, think about it as like a game, like the timeline of a game. I can go in to any cutscene at any point in the middle of a game at any, you know what I mean? So I can bounce around in time. So I am me in this iteration, and I'm like conscious of me, but I'm interacting with you, Kate, my wife, but in another touch point in this timeline, I am also actually playing you, and I'm playing the person listening to this. And so in the end, all the lifetimes that will ever be or were are the same entity. And we are just experiencing them individually. And then once we get to experience all of those, that is the graduation to become a god. It's just,
Cool.
It's silly and it's fun. But I think that's what my brain has to do to cope with the fact that I truly in my gut believe that once I hit dirt, I'm there, and that is partially why, I don't know. There's something about death to me that makes it more palatable, knowing I have left some sort of mark. And it's, I'll try to back it out and say, you You ever know that like people are having fun, but you're just like, I don't know, my stomach's not feeling good, so I'm gonna like go lie down in this other room. But there's still some part of you that's like, I'm still happy though, because I know everybody out there is like having a good time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when I leave this world, as long as I leave, if I know that I'm going to like salute y'all, knowing that I've left some things behind, I think that'll make it easier to go to sleep, essentially. You know, I want to I want to write the book to leave to our kids. I think it'd be really fun to plan these kind of elaborate scavenger hunts that they have to like find these things over the course of their lives, you know, after I'm gone. I don't know. I want to be fun and a little whimsical with my quote unquote legacy, the things I leave behind, because yeah, I don't know. I think death is a very interesting concept to me. And I reading some stuff from Ram Dass about the graceful transition of death, you know, it's like lifting the veil, made it a little easier to like understand that. I was just reading, I think it was a Time article where it was 6 or 7 people who had cardiac arrests, who had completely stopped, and then had come back. They had interviewed them, basically like, what was your experience like? And every single one of them was like, it's pretty peaceful, if I'm being honest. Like they all had like different stories about what they saw and like where they were. So I think that's your brain chemically, you know, symbolically tying things up or whatever. But the common thread was it's a peaceful thing. And so that like all of them were like, I'm actually not afraid of it anymore. And so I'm hoping I can have a peaceful going out, you know. But I do think about it a lot. It is, as I get older, I'm not getting younger. None of us are. But you do think about, you hear about stories all the time about people our age, or, you know, just, that's it. And you have to, oh, I guess that happened, and you put it in the back of your head, and it's like, that's another friend gone, and you just keep going on. And I can only imagine how our grandparents felt, like with all their friends just completely gone, you know.
I don't like your idea.
Which one?
The one where you just think that you just die and that's it.
I know. I don't like it either. That's why it's hard to wrap.
How am I supposed to find you if you're just gone? How am I supposed to cope with the idea of me dying and never seeing any of you again?
I know.
How could you believe that?
I don't want to.
That's not enjoy. Then don't. Then fucking don't.
Yeah. No, that's where I'm like, again, we'll just go with it.
If you go in the dirt and then you don't come back up and find me, I'm going to be so fucking mad at you.
What if we live in a Romero universe where I do come back as a zombie, and then you have to eat your wish?
If you come back as a zombie, I'm going to have you fucking bite me so we can still be together.
Zombie love.
Are you insane?
What's that show? No, there's a Netflix zombie love, whatever. Yeah. What else could we do?
I don't like that.
I'm sorry.
I don't like it.
Sorry. I did. I wrote a couple other things down, actually. That's fine. We can keep going. I'll just trim off some other stuff. Or if we have any extra, actually, we can make a bonus.
Okay.
For the Patreon. But I really like the Harry Potter reference of like, greeting death as an old friend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like death is actually giving life. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
I don't like any of it unless it means that you and I still get to hang out. Okay? I don't like that.
Yeah. I will say, the other day I was thinking about Gibson again, and we were listening to the Counting Crows. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That wrecked me.
Yeah. How could you think that he died and he's just in the dirt and you're never going to get to see your fucking dog again? That's sad.
It is sad, but that's...
No. Instead, he's just floating around waiting for your ass to pick something new so y'all can hang out again, okay?
He's floating around. He's sitting on a futon sleeping somewhere.
Yeah, not in the dirt.
Yeah.
How could you?
Yeah, no, I put on Counting Crows, Recovering Satellites, like the whole album, and I just went through it start to finish, and it hit me so fucking hard because that was the album that I was listening to, like when I had gotten Gibby, and it was this like, I hadn't really listened to that album probably since much, and it just like, just flooded me back of just like,
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I looked over at you at one point and I was like, okay, today's the day. We're doing that. Sure thing.
Yeah.
Poor little thing.
Well, you got anything else you want to say on death or
Oh
depression?
My God, dude, please. My eyes are going to be so swollen from crying.
Yeah. I think it's important to talk about it though.
I need a cold pack ASAP. Okay.
Okay. Well, we got some upstairs. Let's go get you one.
So swollen. Okay, well, yeah, is that it? We done?
Yeah, let's just wrap this one up.
Okay, fuck.
Kind of clunky, but that's
oh my
okay.
God, yeah. Well, listen, okay, my God,
that's okay. We're tired. We're honestly,
we're tired.
It's
I'm
been
sad.
A fucking week. Yeah.
Shit.
We almost decided to record tomorrow because I was sitting on the couch. I had to get Simon asleep, and I was literally just like, I was almost there, and they were like, "We gotta go record tonight because I don't want to do it tomorrow."
I was so irritated. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick and you need to not fall asleep because it is 7:57. Oh my God. I was so annoyed.
I am that guy though. It's like, you falling asleep?
Yeah, it's like 8:30. Like,
no.
what are you doing?
What are you talking about? No.
Gosh.
I am totally awake.
So annoying. Okay. Yeah. So if you have not joined the Facebook group, highly recommend it. Everybody's so sweet in there. It's just on Facebook and it's the Broken Youth Club. Right?
Broken Youth Club.
Broken Youth Club. Fuck. If you would like to send in a story, you can send that to mylife@brokennouthclub.com. Before we recorded this, I think there were like 6 or 7 of them in there. I'll get to it. All right. But like I said earlier, I'm in my disappointing era. Okay. I'm going to get to it. I promise. But like, fuck. Yeah, and then I think the only other like thing we really, really wanted to start kind of mentioning at the end of every podcast, because we have to play the algorithm game. It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. But reviews really help all the time. So if you like the show, before you close out your podcast app today, if you would just go leave a 5-star review, that would be so great. You don't have to write anything. Just click that 5th star. If you don't like it and you don't want to give 5 stars, just ignore this part of the show and don't go over there, okay? Because right now we're holding strong. We got good reviews, and we just want to be able to get in more ears. You know what I mean?
And if you want any bonus content, you can head over to patreon.com /Broken Youth Club podcast. And we have 4 different levels you can look at, and we'll have a live thing we're going to do coming up here.
Yeah, in the next week or 2, we got to figure out the best time for everybody that's in there. Yeah. So we'll be sending those messages out. But yeah, we're so happy you're here. We're so thankful.
Yeah, thanks for listening to this one. I know this one was a little clunkier, but that's okay.
It's a little clunky, a little heavy, but damn. Hopefully this extra welly pill will start kicking in, and I'm gonna be back to fun times. Okay? Shit. Okay. Cool. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.